To start the second panel discussion, and for that may I please invite once again our moderator for panel discussion. It is Mr. Dinesh, Global Director HRSS, to kindly join us on the stage. Our panel discussion would be having Mr. Srini Vudumulu, COO of Novelis. Please join us on the stage. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Srini? Joining us on the stage, we would be having Mr. Ramakrishna Momidi, VP NHRD Hyderabad chapter. Let's continue the applause, please. Thank you. And lady here, dynamic lady here, it is Miss Janani Prakash, Head of People and Culture, Zenjan. So yes, congratulations to all our panelists. And yes, our moderator once again, Mr. Dinesh.
And the second round is about rewards and recognition that organizations do within themselves to recognize their talent. So the question is going to be pretty simple, and it's an open-ended question. Whatever R&R programs that you would have seen in your experience, it could be in your current organization, previous organization, or you could have heard of it, and the audience are all business leaders and HR leaders who are in decision-making positions. I think they can have some takeaway from this. So please feel free to talk about your experience in the R&R area. What kind of R&R programs you would have seen in your organization? If you have some base program, you can talk about it, or if you have heard of a base program, you can talk about it.
Okay, for example, Srini, thank you for joining us in this panel, right? It's as simple as that, or it could be. So when you appreciate, the mood changes, right? And also it's like a thanking forward. So I have seen organizations where there are specific awards like Thank It Forward, wherein they appreciate, for doing small things. And also, of course, there are awards which are monetary in nature. So both non-monetary and monetary. I think the key thing is having that culture of appreciation, recognizing people in the right moment. That's where, the timeliness come into picture. When you see someone doing the right thing, catch them right and then appreciate. It could be a spot recognition, or some of the monetary awards could be, money driven. So they will have more mechanisms or evaluation criteria and so on. Okay, those are the few things that I have seen.
I thought I'll just take an example of some reward, right? Yes, organizations have categories. I think all of us here are HR professionals, so we know what kind of categories are generally available. Let me talk about the reason why we do rewards in many companies. Let's say we run our values. We just derive some values for the organization and we want everyone to instill it. Then that gets integrated into the rewards and recognition practice so that everybody just starts thinking about living the values. I'll give you an interesting example that happened a few years ago in one of my business unit. We used to have some rewards, and the performance management process used to have the number of interviews that are taken also into consideration as an extra effort by the business folks. And then all of a sudden we transformed the performance management system. Somewhere it was not at all taking into consideration the interviews that were being done or the efforts that are going in. Now this became a catch-22 situation because the panelists said, no, we are not interested. What are we going to get out of it? And it's actually hampering their own businesses' attraction of talent and their ability to do more as well, right? Because people are not going to be onboarded in the right time. So then we said, okay, we'll come up with something different with respect to rewards for this. But it's not about just a reward that's monetary in nature, but appreciating the behavior of selecting somebody with the bond that they need to have with the organization, right? So somewhere we integrated 2-3 aspects around the values, about the general sense of belongingness that the panelists should have for the organization, and then categorized rewards. So just one example of a different practice perhaps, but this worked really well.
All of you would have been running or watching R&R schemes run in your organizations. So we're sticking to the scope is basically outside the formal merit increments and bonuses and other stuff, right? So we are talking of other forms of rewards and recognition. One thing which I personally seen is that when you empower not just the manager but the teams to choose whom they want to recognize, it has worked very, very well for me personally, right? So we kind of said whether it's a spot award, whether it's a, thank you forward, or, somebody who's gone over and beyond kind of a thing. We've gone ahead and told the teams and said, you know what, you can pick one person in your team, whomever you want to recognize, and then actually give that award. We empowered the team because the budget is not significant enough. Then the significant amount of ownership and transparency has come into the whole thing because they want to hold the bar pretty high. So that's another thing, right? We experimented with quota also because there's always a tendency saying that if you give the manager, you can go ahead and recognize on a rotation basis, the person can go ahead and give it. So the quota thing, we tried, it didn't work, right, for us. So we gone ahead and removed the quota system and said, okay, fine, go ahead and do this. But more than anything, culture of winning, right, and celebrating wins, small wins, is significant in an organization for a positive spirit to actually go around. So one, have more often the recognition plans and do it very frequently. Celebrate the success, and now a lot of organizations have many digital forums. Try and make sure that people take pride in those rewards. So it's beyond the symbolic recognition. If you can actually have this person take the limelight, at least in different forums, that will be doing a lot more good. It's personally what I've seen and what worked for us in our organization.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Normally when these sessions happen, I prefer to be a moderator because it's easy to moderate and you tend to behave like the boss, and not very often I get that chance. But I'm normally a moderator in only one panel, but only today I am a moderator for two panels. And I have a new learning today. You should never be a moderator for two panels. Because last time also when the welcome drink was going around, I was here, I missed it. And this time again I'm here and the welcome drink is going around and some people are getting two glasses and I've not even got my one glass. So maybe the next time any of you are getting called for a moderator, please ask them when the welcome drinks will be given. At least I'm learning that. And I'm going to skip the summary part for two reasons. One is to save time obviously, and the other part I was really distracted by the juice and I did not listen. The second question to all of you. So we spoke about the R&R programs and all of that. This is probably a very specific question. Of course, we have enough senior leaders who will have their own practices. But if there is something that you can also suggest to us in terms of when you design these R&R programs, how can we make it more transparent and more objective? Because in my experience, I have seen scenarios where somebody is getting an award and the individual who is getting an award only is wondering, why did I get this award? They themselves are in surprise. And there is this element of bias coming in and favoritism coming in and all of that. So how do we address all this by making the awards system more transparent and objective?
Dinesh, great question indeed. Being in talent for so many years, I have seen many a times with good intention, some of these reward and recognition programs are being initiated or a particular category award gets introduced, but not necessarily managed well. That could creep in terms of the bias or unfairness. And then, what are the role that HR plays also into picture is also as a facilitator to ensure that the process is fair within the organization. But the larger question that I have seen is, I think in case of non-monetary awards, I think it's okay even if you recognize people more often, even for small things. But when it comes to money, I have seen we need to have very robust systems so that if who is the nominator, who is the evaluator, and how that is getting evaluated, and having a jury or having a panel or the managers and managers, next level manager based on the organization, the type, I think, and also creating, evaluation criteria, training the people in terms of how you apply those criteria. I think these are the things that are important. I have seen in one particular instance where the peer recognition awards are somewhat dicey. Peers, what happens is with a lot of fanfare they get introduced. If it is, more of non-monetary, I have seen it was okay, it was working well. When it comes to monetary, people do, form cliques, you scratch my back and I scratch your back kind of a thing. And then this is what I have seen, So there one has to be careful. But largely it's the manager's, leader's role in terms of looking very objectively the evaluation that is happening. Otherwise, if you recognize a wrong person, the value of the award could be lost, and the very purpose, the purpose is to motivate people. Now you will have many people who are demotivated because we are recognizing someone who is not necessarily deserving. So I think, definitely leadership has a role to play. HR has a role to play in terms of setting up this criteria and then ensuring that people follow as well.
So I was just thinking of a parallel that everyone can relate to. It's about eating sweets. Everyone likes sweets, right? Okay, I like sweet and I eat one Mysore pak. Okay, I feel good. I eat second. Not so much. Third, okay, I just can't have any more, right? So rewards are also like that. I think if we overdo it, it's not going to work. So from a transparency perspective, we need to really see who are we awarding, how many awards, and what makes real sense. Similarly, let's take the same Mysore Park example. If I have like a 30-member team, I give everyone a sweet. Everyone is going to feel happy and they'll think, okay, I just celebrated Diwali. No, but what is it? Like, who has done something extra and what is it that I'm going to do for them? I think objectivity and transparency need to be brought in there. And yes, mechanisms like Ram rightly pointed out will certainly help there. Paucity of time, I'm passing it over.
Yeah, so my what worked for me is that try and take the decision away just from one individual and have more people as a jury. That helps because hopefully you would have got different perspectives and it begins in transparency. Second is constantly go back and check whether the transparency as a value is being practiced or not. I'm sure you will have employee engagement surveys or some, ESAT surveys. Have one question and say, how transparent our R&R programs are? Do you feel it's transparent? At least it gives you a mirror to know where to stand so that you can go back and take the corrective actions before the next R&R wave happens in your organization.
I just have one point to add. In all of this transparency and objectivity, we should not forget the element of personalization that's really needed these days. In fact, in the last few years, I've started asking my team, what kind of recognition would you like? What makes sense to you, right? And it's not just about the organizational recognition, but it's about individuals as well and how managers and leaders are able to do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.